Have you ever looked at your goals, your dreams, and thought, "I'll start tomorrow"? But tomorrow turns into next week, and next week fades into never. Let me tell you something powerful. Motivation doesn't start the engine, action does. Waiting to feel ready is the fastest way to kill your potential. If you want to change your life, you must force yourself to act, even when you don't feel like it, because the truth is, your future depends on what you do when you don't feel ready. Action is the bridge between your imagination and your reality. Everyone wants success, discipline, focus, and confidence, but few are willing to do the uncomfortable work that creates them. The difference between dreamers and achievers isn't talent. It's the ability to act, regardless of emotions. Every morning, your mind gives you two choices: stay comfortable or take control. And most people choose comfort because it's easy, it's safe, it's familiar. But comfort is a silent killer. It destroys ambition, slowly and quietly. If you want to change your story, you must learn to push through that resistance. The voice that says, "Not today." But action doesn't need to be massive. It just needs to start. One small step creates momentum, and momentum creates transformation. Don't wait for motivation. Create it through movement. When you take action, even when you're scared, you teach your brain one powerful message: I am in control. Discipline is not about perfection. It's about persistence. It's about showing up when no one is watching. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when your emotions scream no. Remember this: motivation follows action, not the other way around. The moment you begin, energy appears, clarity comes, confidence builds. When you force yourself to act, you unlock a version of yourself that fear has kept hidden. You stop negotiating with weakness and start aligning with power. The secret to every great achievement in history lies in one simple truth: they acted before they felt ready. Imagine this. It's early morning, the alarm rings, and you hit snooze again. You tell yourself you'll start later. Later becomes tomorrow, and tomorrow turns into never. That's the silent trap most people fall into. Waiting for a moment of inspiration that never arrives. Here's the truth that most never want to accept: action comes before motivation. Motivation isn't a spark that starts the fire. It's the flame that appears after you've struck the match. The match is action. Doing something, anything, even when you don't feel like it. You see, the biggest lie society sells you is that you must feel ready before you begin. You wait for that perfect mindset, that magical mood, that sudden burst of energy to appear out of nowhere. But if you keep waiting to feel ready, you'll wait your entire life. The people who change their lives don't act because they're motivated. They act to become motivated. They move first, and the feelings follow. That's how momentum is created. Think about the first time you didn't want to work out, but you forced yourself to put on your shoes. You stepped out, took that first breath of air, and something shifted. The energy you didn't have 5 minutes ago appeared from nowhere. Why? Because motion creates emotion. The moment you move, your brain releases chemicals: dopamine, endorphins, adrenaline. The very things that make you feel alive and driven. Waiting for motivation before taking action is like standing in front of a fireplace and demanding heat before you add the wood. Life doesn't work that way. The most successful people in the world understand this principle deeply. They don't wake up every morning excited to work. They wake up and start working until they feel excited. They know that feelings are unreliable, but actions are not. Feelings can change in a heartbeat, but action, consistent, intentional action, builds results that last. You can't control your emotions, but you can control what you do about them, and that's where real power begins. Every moment you hesitate, your mind builds a wall of resistance. It whispers, "You're tired," "It's too hard," or "You're not ready yet." But that voice isn't your truth, it's your fear. The only way to silence it is by proving it wrong through movement. You don't argue with fear. You outwork it. You override it with decisions, with effort, with momentum. That's why forcing yourself to take that first step matters so much. Once you start, resistance weakens. Once you start, clarity comes. Once you start, the impossible begins to look possible. Action isn't just about doing. It's about breaking inertia. When an object is still, it stays still unless something forces it to move. The same rule applies to your mind. Your potential energy stays locked until you create motion. That's the beautiful paradox of success. You must begin before you're ready. You must move before you believe. You must do before you feel. Because the feeling you crave only comes after the doing. Every transformation story begins with a decision, not when someone felt confident, but when they acted despite doubt. The athlete didn't wait to feel strong before training. They trained until they became strong. The writer didn't wait for inspiration before writing. They wrote until inspiration arrived. The entrepreneur didn't wait for certainty before starting. They started until certainty grew from progress. It's always the same pattern: movement first, motivation second. So the next time you catch yourself waiting for a better day, waiting for more energy, waiting for the right moment, remember this: that moment will never come on its own. You create it. You generate it through action. The moment you start moving, you change your emotional state. You shift from thinking to doing, from doubting to proving, from wishing to winning. Action is the switch that turns on your power. Let this sink in. The difference between the person you are and the person you want to be is not knowledge. It's movement. Everyone knows what they should do. Everyone has dreams, plans, and ideas. But only a few take the uncomfortable, unglamorous steps that bring those ideas to life. You can read all the books, listen to all the speeches, watch all the motivational videos. But until you move, nothing changes. Knowledge without action is like fuel without fire. Potential that never becomes power. When you force yourself to act, even in small ways, you begin to trust yourself. You prove that you can rely on your own word. Every time you act, you strengthen your identity as someone who follows through. That's how confidence is built. Not through affirmation, but through evidence. The more you do, the more you believe in your ability to do, and the stronger that belief becomes, the easier it is to keep moving. Action is the purest form of self-respect. It says, "I value my goals enough to chase them, even when it's hard." It says, "I'm willing to earn my progress, not just dream about it." The simple act of doing turns potential into proof. It transforms hesitation into momentum. It gives you control over your own narrative. You don't need to feel brave to take action. You need to act to feel brave. You don't need to wait for courage. Courage is built in the doing. You don't need to be ready. Readiness is born in motion. The moment you start, you awaken a part of yourself that's been asleep under the weight of overthinking. And that spark, once lit, spreads fast. So, when the voice in your head says, "I'll start later," answer back, "No, I'll start now." Because now is all you ever have. Motivation is fleeting, but momentum is forever. Take the first step, no matter how small, and you'll feel the universe shift in your favor. Because once you act, life starts responding. Opportunities appear. Energy returns. Focus sharpens. You begin to see proof that you were always capable. You just needed to move. That's the secret the great ones live by. Action first, motivation second. Force the start, and the fire will follow. There will be days when you wake up and feel nothing. No drive, no spark, no hunger. The weight of the world feels heavier, your energy is low, and your dreams seem distant. Those are the days that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Because on those days, one thing matters more than anything else: discipline. Motivation is a mood, but discipline is a decision. It's the quiet force that shows up when everything inside you says, "Not today." Most people live their lives chasing feelings. They wait until they feel like working out, until they feel like studying, until they feel like chasing their goals. But feelings are unreliable. They change with the weather, with sleep, with mood, with fear. You can't build a powerful life on something so fragile. If you only act when you feel like it, you'll never build momentum. The truth is, the people who achieve greatness rarely feel like doing the work. They simply do it anyway. That's the invisible line that separates dreamers from doers. Discipline is not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. It's not about doing everything right. It's about doing the right things, especially when it's hard. Every time you show up, even when you don't want to, you build mental armor. You create evidence that you can rely on yourself. That's what discipline really is. Self-trust built through repeated action. And once you trust yourself to follow through, you become unstoppable. There's a moment each day when your mind will whisper, "You can skip today." One day won't matter, but one day always matters. Because the habit of skipping becomes the pattern of quitting. Each time you listen to that voice, you weaken your willpower. But each time you push through, you strengthen it. Think about the people you admire. The athletes, the creators, the leaders. They're not driven by constant inspiration. They're powered by discipline. They have mastered the art of showing up, no matter how they feel. Discipline is the ability to act without permission from your emotions. It's waking up before the world, doing what needs to be done, even when no one is watching. It's choosing progress over comfort, purpose over pleasure. It's saying no to the easy path, so you can walk the path that leads somewhere meaningful. Discipline doesn't scream. It doesn't demand attention. It's quiet, it's steady, and it's relentless. It builds empires one boring, uncomfortable decision at a time. When you operate on discipline instead of emotion, you become free. Because emotions are like waves. They rise and fall, but discipline is the surfboard that keeps you balanced no matter how rough the ocean gets. You'll have good days and bad days, wins and losses, but discipline anchors you. It keeps you grounded in action, not feelings. You learn to work through the storm instead of waiting for it to pass. You realize that consistency creates confidence, and that confidence builds momentum. Every act of discipline is a declaration to yourself, "I'm in control." Each time you follow through, even when it's hard, you reinforce that belief. You're not a slave to moods, excuses, or laziness. You're a master of your choices, and that mastery over yourself is the highest form of power there is. Because if you can control what you do, you can control what you become. Discipline is uncomfortable because it requires sacrifice. You sacrifice comfort, ease, and instant pleasure, but what you gain in return is far greater: freedom, clarity, pride, and progress. There is no growth without discomfort. There is no transformation without struggle. Discipline asks you to give up who you are for who you want to be, and if you stay loyal to that process long enough, you become unstoppable. Every single day, you are training yourself, either training to give up or training to show up. Every skipped workout, every missed opportunity, every broken promise to yourself sends a message to your subconscious that says, "My words don't matter." But every time you honor your commitment, even in small ways, you send a different message. I am someone who finishes what I start. That's how greatness is built, not in bursts of motivation, but in daily repetition. Think about how powerful it would be if you stopped waiting for motivation and simply relied on discipline. You wouldn't need to feel like doing anything. You'd just do it. You wouldn't need external validation or energy. You'd move forward regardless. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. Amateurs wait for the right mood. Professionals act in any mood. The difference is simple, but the impact is massive. When your emotions tell you to stop, discipline whispers, "Just one more rep." When your body says, "I'm tired," discipline says, "You've got 5 more minutes." When your mind says, "You can't," discipline says, "Watch me." That voice grows stronger every time you use it, and soon, what once felt impossible becomes your new normal. There's a quote that says, "Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want now." And that's the essence of success. Every small act of discipline is a vote for your future. You may not see results today, or even tomorrow, but one day you'll wake up and realize how far those little decisions took you. Discipline compounds. It builds quietly beneath the surface until one day it explodes into success. And when you look back, you won't remember the days you felt tired or lazy. You'll remember the days you pushed through. Those are the days that define you. Because discipline doesn't just shape your habits, it shapes your identity. It tells the world, and more importantly yourself, that you are someone who does what it takes, not what's convenient. So the next time you feel uninspired, remember that feelings fade, but discipline endures. Motivation might get you started once, but discipline will keep you moving for life. The world doesn't reward those who wait for the perfect moment. It rewards those who create it through consistent effort. Every moment you choose discipline over comfort, you're rewriting your story. And one day, that story will become the proof that you were never led by your emotions. You were led by your purpose. Comfort feels safe. It feels warm, familiar, and easy. It whispers to you, "You're fine right where you are." But comfort is deceptive. It's the silent killer of dreams. It doesn't destroy you all at once. It does it slowly, quietly, one day at a time. The truth is simple: comfort is the enemy of growth. Every person who has ever built something remarkable had to make a choice: to leave behind the safety of comfort and step into the unknown. And that step, though terrifying, is where transformation begins. Think about it. Nothing meaningful was ever created in the comfort zone. Every invention, every breakthrough, every personal victory was born from discomfort. Growth doesn't come from doing what's easy. It comes from doing what's necessary. The gym isn't comfortable, but it builds strength. Facing rejection isn't comfortable, but it builds resilience. Taking risks isn't comfortable, but it builds courage. The moments that make you uncomfortable are the moments that are shaping you into something greater. The human brain is wired for survival, not success. It wants safety, predictability, and routine. It avoids pain, risk, and effort. That's why when you try to change, when you decide to start a new habit, chase a dream, or break an old pattern, your mind fights back. It tells you to stay where you are because the unknown feels dangerous. But that fear is not a warning. It's a signal. It's your body's way of saying, you're stepping into growth. Discomfort isn't a red flag. It's the green light that tells you you're moving forward. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort, and that's why they never grow. They choose the easy road, the predictable job, the familiar routine, and then wonder why life feels stuck. But the truth is, comfort and growth can't coexist. The moment you stop challenging yourself, you stop evolving. You begin to decay while calling it peace. Real peace doesn't come from avoiding struggle. It comes from knowing you can handle it. The person who chooses comfort chooses limitation. The person who chooses growth chooses expansion. You'll never discover who you truly are by staying where it feels safe. The strongest version of you is buried beneath layers of fear, doubt, and excuses, and you can only uncover it by pushing through pain and discomfort. Every time you do something that scares you, you expand your limits. You teach your mind that fear isn't fatal. You show yourself that you can survive discomfort and come out stronger. And that realization changes everything. There's a hidden truth about discomfort. It's not there to punish you, it's there to prepare you. Every challenge, every hardship, every uncomfortable situation is training you for something greater. The struggle you face today is building the strength you'll need tomorrow. The discomfort you feel now is shaping the discipline, focus, and toughness that success demands. The pain you avoid is the same pain that could have turned you into something unstoppable. Look at anyone you admire. The leaders, the athletes, the creators, the innovators. They didn't get there by staying comfortable. They put themselves in situations that forced growth. They embraced the grind, the long nights, the uncertainty, the doubt. Because they understood that comfort keeps you the same, but discomfort transforms you. Growth doesn't ask for ease. It demands effort. And the price of success is always paid in discomfort first. The moment you accept that discomfort is part of progress, everything changes. You stop running from challenges and start running toward them. You stop saying, "This is hard," and start saying, "This is helping me grow." You realize that every setback, every failure, every uncomfortable situation is a stepping stone. The pain becomes purpose. The struggle becomes strength. You begin to see discomfort not as an obstacle, but as a partner in your evolution. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you truly pushed yourself? When was the last time you did something that scared you, that stretched you, that made you doubt whether you could do it? But you did it anyway. Those are the moments that shape you. Those are the moments you remember. You'll never remember the days you stayed comfortable, but you'll never forget the days you broke through your own limits. The truth is, your comfort zone isn't a place. It's a feeling. It's the space where everything feels familiar and easy. And as long as you live there, you'll never grow beyond your current potential. You must learn to make discomfort your new comfort zone. You must rewire your mind to see challenge as opportunity, pain as growth, and fear as fuel. Because the things you fear most are often the things that hold your greatest breakthroughs. Every time you resist the pull of comfort, you gain power. You become sharper, hungrier, and stronger. You start to realize that growth doesn't feel good. It feels challenging, awkward, and uncertain. But that's how it's supposed to feel. Discomfort is not the enemy, stagnation is. When things feel uncomfortable, it means you're expanding. It means your old limits are being stretched. It means you're evolving into the person you're meant to be. So, the next time you feel the urge to take the easy path, pause. Remind yourself that comfort will keep you where you are, but discomfort will take you where you've never been. Every great story begins with someone who dared to step into the unknown. Every legend was once a beginner who chose discomfort over ease. The pain you feel today will one day become your pride. Growth asks one question: are you willing to be uncomfortable long enough to become extraordinary? Because the truth is, you can't change your life without changing your habits, and you can't change your habits without facing discomfort. That's the price. That's the test. And once you pass it, you realize that discomfort isn't your enemy. It's your greatest ally. It's the sign that you're alive, moving, and becoming more than you were yesterday. Comfort may feel good now, but it costs you your potential later. And potential wasted is the greatest pain of all. So lean into the struggle. Chase the challenge. Seek the stretch. Because that's where your power is hiding. Just beyond your comfort zone, waiting for you to step forward and claim it. Your mind is powerful, but it's also your biggest obstacle. Every time you decide to start something new, to change a habit, or to push yourself further, your brain resists. It whispers doubts, magnifies fear, and invents excuses. It tells you, you can't do this. You'll fail, or it's too late. That voice inside your head isn't truth. It's protection. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not successful. It wants comfort, stability, and familiarity. It doesn't care about your dreams. It cares about survival. And that's why, if you want to grow, you must learn to act even when your mind resists. Imagine standing at the edge of a cliff, knowing that everything you've ever wanted lies just beyond the jump. But your mind screams at you to step back. It tells you to wait until you're ready, until the fear fades, until everything feels certain. But that moment never comes. You'll never feel fully ready because your mind will always find a reason to hold you back. The only way forward is to move through the fear, not around it. You must train yourself to take action despite resistance. That's where power begins. Resistance is not the enemy. It's a compass. It points toward the things that matter most. The greater the resistance, the more important the task. That's why starting something new feels so hard. It threatens your comfort zone. It forces your brain to step into uncertainty. But uncertainty is where life begins. The more you push against resistance, the stronger you become. Every time you act in spite of fear, you reprogram your mind to trust your courage more than your comfort. The truth is, your mind will never stop resisting. It's not a switch you turn off. It's a muscle you learn to work with. The more you ignore its excuses and move anyway, the weaker that resistance becomes. You start to realize that fear doesn't control you. You control fear. You begin to recognize that the thoughts in your head are not commands, they're just noise. You can listen without obeying. You can feel fear without surrendering. You can doubt yourself and still move forward. That's what separates those who dream from those who achieve. When you decide to do something meaningful, launch a business, change your lifestyle, pursue a goal, your mind immediately looks for danger. It says, what if you fail? What if people judge you? What if it doesn't work? But what if it does? What if the leap you fear most is the one that changes your life? Fear disguises itself as logic, but it's not protecting you. It's limiting you. Most people mistake that resistance for a sign to stop, when in reality, it's a sign to begin. Here's the secret: action dissolves resistance. The longer you sit and think about something, the stronger resistance becomes. But the moment you take that first small step, the fear loses its grip. It's like stepping into cold water. It shocks you at first, but then your body adjusts. The discomfort fades, and you realize it wasn't as bad as you imagined. That's how momentum works. It rewards those who move. The hardest part of anything is starting, but once you begin, your mind shifts from fear to focus. Your brain's resistance is a habit, a learned response built from years of comfort and avoidance. And like any habit, it can be rewired. Each time you act against resistance, you teach your mind a new pattern. You prove to yourself that fear doesn't define you. That small victory creates confidence, and confidence creates momentum. Before long, what once terrified you becomes routine. You start to crave challenge instead of avoiding it. That's when you know you've grown. Most people wait for fear to disappear before they act, but fear doesn't vanish. It transforms. When you take consistent action, fear turns into excitement. What once made your heart race with anxiety begins to make it beat with anticipation. The same chemical that fuels fear can also fuel courage. It's just a matter of direction. The more you move, the more that energy works for you instead of against you. The resistance in your mind will try to convince you to play small. It will make you believe that comfort equals happiness. But comfort is temporary, and regret is forever. Every time you choose fear over action, you feed the resistance. Every time you act despite it, you weaken it. The battle is constant, but it's one worth fighting. Because on the other side of that resistance lies everything you've been searching for: growth, purpose, confidence, and freedom. Remember this: the mind is a tool, not a master. You were never meant to be a prisoner of your thoughts. You were meant to command them. You can observe your fear and still choose courage. You can feel uncertainty and still move forward. The resistance you feel isn't a stop sign. It's proof that you're on the right path. If you weren't growing, your mind wouldn't fight you. The resistance shows up not to block your progress, but to test how badly you want it. There will always be a voice telling you to stop, to wait, to give up. But there's another voice, quieter, deeper, and stronger, that says, keep going. That's the voice of your potential, the voice of who you could become. The more you listen to that voice, the more powerful it becomes. The more you obey it, the more your life begins to align with your purpose. So when your mind resists, smile. That's the moment you know you're stepping into something meaningful. That's the sign you're no longer living on autopilot. You're living intentionally. Don't let the noise of fear drown out the sound of your calling. You don't need to silence the resistance. You just need to move anyway. The people who achieve the impossible aren't fearless. They simply refuse to let fear dictate their decisions. They've learned that progress lives on the other side of discomfort. That every time they act in spite of fear, they take one step closer to freedom. And that's the truth. Most never understand your resistance is not a wall, it's a door. And the key to unlocking it is simple. Act, even when your mind tells you not to. People often overestimate what they can do in a day and underestimate what they can do in a year. We live in a world obsessed with speed, with instant results, with overnight success. But the truth is, greatness doesn't happen overnight. It's built quietly, through small, consistent steps taken day after day. Every massive transformation begins with something tiny, something almost invisible. The secret to long-term success isn't intensity. It's consistency. Small steps create massive change. Think of a mountain. No one climbs it in a single leap. You take one step, then another, then another. At first, it feels slow. You might even doubt if you're making progress. But over time, those small steps compound, and before you know it, you've reached heights you once thought were impossible. That's the beauty of consistent action. It doesn't demand perfection, only persistence. The results don't show immediately, but they're growing beneath the surface, just like seeds planted in the soil before they bloom. There's power in doing something small but meaningful every single day. Reading a few pages, saving a little money, working on your craft for an hour, waking up a bit earlier. These might seem insignificant in the moment, but they stack up. Over time, those small habits become the foundation of greatness. You don't need to do everything today, you just need to do something today. Because motion, no matter how small, builds momentum. The problem is that most people quit before the results appear. They get impatient, expecting instant rewards for short-term effort, but growth doesn't work that way. The gym won't show results in a week, but if you stay consistent for months, the change becomes undeniable. The same is true for every area of life. Your relationships, your mindset, your goals. Progress is silent, steady, and often invisible, until one day it's all anyone can see. Every great achievement looks impossible in the beginning. A writer finishes a book one page at a time. A business grows one customer at a time. A champion is built one workout at a time. Each small effort is a piece of the bigger picture. The key is to stay patient long enough for those pieces to come together. Most people stop digging when they're just inches away from gold. They give up because they can't see immediate results. But those who trust the process, those who keep showing up even when progress is invisible, are the ones who eventually strike success. Small steps are powerful because they're sustainable. Anyone can sprint for a week, few can walk steadily for a year. Consistency beats intensity every single time. It's not about doing everything, it's about doing something every day that moves you closer to your vision. 1% progress may not seem like much, but compounded over time, it becomes unstoppable momentum. A small step forward is infinitely more valuable than standing still waiting for the perfect plan. The mind loves big dreams, but it resists small beginnings. It wants results now. It craves validation, proof, and instant success. But mastery isn't built that way. Success is a slow burn, not an explosion. Every expert was once a beginner who chose not to quit. Every successful person you admire has a history of small, consistent actions that built their foundation long before anyone noticed. When you focus on small steps, you remove the pressure of perfection. You don't need to conquer everything in a day. You just need to move forward. That movement changes your energy, your focus, and your confidence. You start to see progress, not in leaps, but in the way you think, act, and respond. You start becoming the kind of person who takes responsibility, who shows up, who doesn't need motivation to move. That's how small steps create big identity shifts. Every time you take action, even the smallest one, you send a message to your subconscious. I'm moving. I'm growing. I'm becoming. Those small victories build momentum, and momentum builds belief. That belief becomes fuel for even greater action. It's a cycle of progress that begins with something as simple as starting today. That's why small steps matter. They're not just physical actions, they're mental shifts. They train your brain to focus on what's possible instead of what's missing. Think of life as a staircase. You can't jump to the top, you have to take it one step at a time. Some days you'll climb quickly, other days you'll crawl. But as long as you're moving, you're progressing. Each step forward, no matter how small, matters. The people who change their lives aren't the ones who make giant moves once in a while. They're the ones who make small moves every day without fail. The beauty of taking small steps is that it removes fear. The mind fears massive change because it feels overwhelming, but it can handle small progress. When you break a big dream into small, daily actions, the impossible becomes possible. You stop waiting for motivation and start relying on discipline. You stop seeing success as a distant dream and start experiencing it as a daily practice. Patience is your greatest ally in this process. Every small action you take is like a drop of water carving a path through stone. It might take time, but it's inevitable. Each drop, each effort, each small step compounds until the results become visible. That's how change happens. Quietly, consistently, relentlessly. Don't underestimate the power of the small. It's easy to overlook a single workout, a single chapter, a single effort. But these are the things that build the foundation of mastery. Small steps teach you endurance. They build resilience. They prove that success isn't about doing everything at once. It's about doing something every day that moves you closer to your vision. So when you feel stuck, overwhelmed, or impatient, remind yourself the journey is built one step at a time. You don't need to leap. You just need to begin. Every small action is a vote for your future self, a promise that you're not waiting for change. You're creating it. The compound effect of daily effort is unstoppable. A small step may not seem like much today, but it's the reason you'll one day stand where you once dreamed to be. There will come a moment in your journey when everything inside you wants to stop, when the fatigue, the doubt, the noise of the world starts whispering that maybe it's not worth it, that maybe you should slow down, settle, or give up. That moment is not your defeat. It's your defining test. Because in that moment, when your mind says, "I can't," your heart has the chance to whisper, "Watch me." This is the essence of resilience, the ability to rise when the weight of the world tries to hold you down. The truth is, life will test you, not to break you, but to shape you. Every challenge, every setback, every failure is preparing you for the strength you need to step into your next level. Resilience is not about never falling. It's about what you do after you fall. It's the invisible strength that pushes you to get back up again and again, even when no one's watching, even when no one believes. The difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck isn't luck. It's the refusal to quit. Every time you rise after being knocked down, you become stronger, wiser, and more unshakable. Life rewards those who keep showing up after failure. It's not about how fast you move. It's about how deeply you persist. When things don't go your way, when things fall apart, you have two choices. You can break with them, or you can rebuild yourself stronger. Every failure hides a seed of strength waiting to be discovered, but most people never see it because they're too busy mourning what they lost instead of learning what they gained. True growth begins when you stop asking, "Why me?" and start asking, "What can this teach me?" That shift in perspective transforms pain into power, because pain isn't there to punish you. It's there to prepare you. There's a fire that burns in every person who refuses to give up. It's the quiet determination that says, "I've been through worse, and I'm still here." That's resilience. It's not about being fearless. It's about facing your fears and still moving forward. It's not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to keep asking the right questions. The ones who rise from the ashes aren't the ones who never get burned. They're the ones who learn how to turn that fire into fuel. You'll have days when everything seems to go wrong, when your plans fail, when people doubt you, when your own mind becomes your biggest obstacle. Those are the moments that build your character. That's when you learn who you really are. Anyone can keep going when things are easy, but it's when life gets hard that the real strength is revealed. The hard days forge the kind of mindset that no obstacle can destroy. The storms you face aren't there to stop you. They're there to strengthen your foundation so nothing can shake you again. The most successful people you admire didn't get there because life was kind to them. They got there because they refused to surrender when life tried to break them. They were rejected, ridiculed, and ignored, but every no became a reason to grow. Every failure became a lesson. Every setback became a stepping stone. Resilient people don't see failure as final. They see it as feedback. They understand that falling isn't failing if you get back up. Resilience is built in silence. It's built when you keep going after you've been told to stop. It's built in those lonely nights when you're working while others sleep. It's built when you fight battles no one knows about, when you choose to believe even when there's no evidence of progress. The power of resilience lies in your ability to keep your purpose alive when the results haven't shown up yet. That's where champions are made, not in comfort, but in the chaos. And here's the truth most people forget. Resilience isn't just about bouncing back. It's about bouncing forward. Every time life knocks you down and you rise, you don't just return to where you were, you evolve. You grow sharper, wiser, stronger. You become someone who's not afraid of the storm, because you've learned how to dance in the rain. You become someone who trusts yourself enough to know that no matter what happens, you'll find a way. That self-trust, that inner knowing, is the real prize of resilience. There will be moments when your effort feels invisible, when no one claps, no one notices, and no one believes. But that's where your power grows. Because resilience doesn't need an audience. It needs intention. You keep pushing, not for applause, but because quitting isn't an option. You've come too far to only come this far. The road may be long, but every scar you earn is proof that you survived something that once tried to destroy you. Every time you choose persistence over surrender, you become unbreakable. The truth is, resilience isn't built in the moments you win. It's built in the moments you refuse to lose. You're going to fall, you're going to fail, and you're going to feel like it's over. But it's not over. It's just the beginning of your next transformation. You don't need to be perfect, you just need to keep showing up. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to have faith that what you're doing matters. There's something powerful about a person who won't stay down. Someone who's been through darkness and still chooses to bring light. Someone who's been hurt but still chooses to love. Someone who's been rejected but still believes in themselves. That's resilience. It's courage in motion. It's the decision to rise again and again until rising becomes your nature. Every time you get up after being knocked down, you're proving to yourself that you're stronger than you were yesterday. You're teaching your mind that no failure is permanent. You're reminding the world that no matter how hard it tries to break you, you're unbreakable. You don't need to be fearless. You just need to be relentless. Because life doesn't reward those who never fall, it rewards those who never quit. So when life hits you, and it will, don't shrink, don't surrender. Stand tall, breathe, and remind yourself that every setback is setting you up for something greater. You've survived everything you thought you couldn't, and that means you can handle whatever comes next. Keep fighting. Keep rising. Because your resilience isn't just your strength. It's your superpower. So today, stop waiting for the perfect time, because it doesn't exist. The perfect time is now. Every second you hesitate, life moves forward without you. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is made of one thing: consistent action. Force yourself to take that step, make that call, write that page, start that workout. Do it because your future self is counting on you. And remember, success isn't about feeling motivated, it's about becoming the kind of person who acts, no matter what. This is Wisdom in Minutes Audiobooks, reminding you, your destiny begins the moment you decide to take action.